Okay, I welcome you all with love, and I want to appreciate Doug for the new beginning. It looks really good. So I like to start with a prayer of merging the heart and mind, which is really a commentary on what's needed in today's world. Shemiku kudashabrihu ushirate bi ilu or imulaiha shemike belovke bida shem kozreo kolam. Amen. Take a minute to feel that merging of the heart and mind. That's good. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of dancing like we usually do, and then go into our topic, which is how to deal with the chaos that's going on in the world. But let's start with a little dancing to connect the heart and mind so we can better handle it. Thank you, Neff. This week, more than other weeks, and I'm not sure why, more people are feeling confused about what's going on and concerned. So I'm going to speak to that issue. So what is that concern is how to make sense out of all this. But there's a secret. We don't have to make sense out of it. What we have to do is remember the truth of things. Well, what is the truth of things? We are the light and love of the one. And we are one. When we remember that, then everything else becomes much less of an issue. So, not that we want to be at peace with all the chaos going on, but the inner peace that we create by remembering who we are, with meditation, with prayer, with a diet that is non-violent, which would be a vegan, 100% vegan, 80% live food diet, and with breathing exercises and yoga to calm the body, and service and charity, and working with teachers and and meditation and mantra repetition, and also supporting the flow of the spiritual energy known as Kundalini in the East and Ruach Kadesh in the biblical way. All those things keep us in the center of the storm, in the quiet place in the center of the storm, so we can look at what's going on with a certain discernment of how to handle it. But we're not overwhelmed, because the truth is we're not in control. The truth is we've never been in control. That's a hard one. When people like to be in control, it's like, no, you've never been in control, ever. Destiny unfolds. What we're in control of is how we respond to it, which is exactly what I'm talking about. How we respond to this, what's going on in the world, is key to everything. If we can be at peace with this chaos, then we can't be controlled. If we're in fear and contraction, yeah, we can be controlled. And they're doing, and there's major groups, right? Without getting to whole politics of, China and U.S. and the different kind of groups fighting in Russia and the globalists, they're not all the same. It's like they're doing their trip. They're trying to take over the world. Each group is fighting the other group, which is really good in a way. And our job is to not get disrupted by that, but by keeping our center, that eventually, because we are in the majority of people who want world peace, who really want world peace, that eventually it will all come towards the world peace that we create by keeping our center internally and externally. That's key to the whole game. And I'm going to just stop there for a second to see if there are any questions about it, because that's what I find that's disrupting people the most, is like as if the world out of control means we're out of control. That is not the case. We have the potential to be at peace, even though the world is chaotic and fighting each other from multiple different directions. We can be at peace in the chaos. That is the one thing we have control over. That's the one thing we have control over, is how we respond. That's the beauty. That's the power that we have. So that's what I'm really, really trying to make a point of, is for us to really understand our own power in all this, is to be at peace with whatever's going on in the outer world. And we do that by creating an inner peace and a perspective. I'm going to use the word discernment of how to go about seeing this outer world and what's going on, and discerning the truth. Because whatever you read from this direction, that direction, or that direction isn't necessarily reflecting the truth. I think it's interesting that Wikipedia, and finally they're beginning to say, oh my goodness, that this is a very biased thing that was supposed to be unbiased entirely. Well, they've never, I can't tell you that they ever really been anything but biased, but now it's coming out and people are protesting it, and that's very good. If it's your mission to protest Wikipedia being very biased, do it, but do it with peace. Do it with peace. Now, we were just recently in Dubai and setting up for eventually a fasting workshop that we're going to do in a penthouse. It's just incredible. Really good, really good situation. It's got a swimming pool and all the things we really like. That we're doing a fast in the Dominican Republic starting May 26th, but this will be a year later in the fall. Okay, but the message is, my wife and I were completely amazed at the high level of culture that exists in Dubai, what people could really do. And it's 22 million people, but it's the most diverse cultural situation. People from so many different nations. It was unbelievable. And to see the peace, to see the harmony of how people interacted, to see the lack of fear. It is known as the zero crime rate. Okay, well, that's pretty good. So you're looking at the safest city in the world. That's its reputation. And but there's so many different people from so many different places, so many different countries. It was like, wow, and people really do get along, and people really are polite, and people really are nice. So it's a model. Is it the ultimate model? No, but it's a very good model for this time and age of what is possible with a world of chaos. That was the beauty that we saw there. It was like, wow, wow. And, we could get all the different foods we want. We get the vegan food and the raw food. And, there's ample cultural diversity in a very beautifully laid out place. So that's an example of what's possible now. And what's possible in the future is even more amazing. So, but I'll settle for now, and I'll settle. We're used to living more in the country, but that is a city setting that is worth really honoring and recognizing. So, it is possible. We don't have to wait for tomorrow. It's happening now, and externally, but also internally within ourselves. So I'm just going to repeat that the general process of living this lifestyle that helps us be at peace and create a perception of the world that elevates ourselves in the world. So we eat a diet that is free of animal cruelty and of misery and suffering. So it's a vegan diet. And at least 80% live food, because that is the most amount of solar energy to elevate all our organs and so forth. Second, we create a frequency of peace with our body in regard to yoga, breathing exercises, tai chi, qigong, things like that. Third is service and charity. Now, really, when you're involved in service and charity, you are connecting to you have the potential to connect to other people at the heart level. And that's what really makes it work. Okay, it isn't just writing a check. Do I have dress codes when going outdoors in the city? Not that I noticed. Okay, we have many women and Arab women in the burqas and so forth, and we have lots of women running around in shorts. So I would say that I didn't really see any dress code going on. And the men, some are wearing the long white the robes, and other people again wearing shorts. So if there was a dress code, I didn't notice it. I'll put it that way. It's an interesting question, because that tells you the diversity, that people can live with each other and with their diversity and be polite and nice to each other in a lot of ways. So, good question. So, and service and charity is part of it. People feel like they're in service to each other in a very gentle way. And then what's also important is to work with spiritual teachers who can help you develop discernment of how to relate to the world and all its complexity. And then as much meditation and mantra repetition as possible to keep a calm inner center and remember the truth of who we are, which is the light and love and divine sound of God. Okay? And then finally, doing what's really important in our life. Yes, as Nefer Morningstar put it, that's really positive. And I was like, really impressed for as a city and as an energy in the bare desert that's, they have a big lagoon, an artificial lake, and it's really, for city living, it's really quite beautiful. The buildings, the layouts, but more important, how the people treated each other. Often you see in cities, people are in a rush and they're hurrying, and there isn't a gracefulness there. And what we found there, even at the shopping malls, because we explored all the possibilities of what's going on, people were very gracious with each other. And that graciousness was an unexpected plus, I'll put it that way. And then everybody else, tends to be more gracious as it kind of rubs off on everybody. So the outer piece of how people get along creates an inner piece. The inner piece creates an outer piece. So it was quite an experience. And we are going to do, as they say, one fast a year, their spiritual fasting retreat. See how that goes. But I was shockingly impressed of the high cultural level with all the diversity. Having lived in New York City, worked on the south side of Chicago, where more people killed in a month there than in a year in Israel. I'm not talking about the war, literally. And so you look at those real war zones. I worked with teen gangs on the south side of Chicago, and it's like, well, a lot of people are getting killed. So literally more being killed in 1 month, which is amazing, just on the south side of Chicago. Or Chicago area. So contrast that where there is no violence, there is peace, people are polite. It's like, does such a place exist now? Yes, it does. That's an inspiration. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because we really have a place in our modern life today, in big city life with 22 million people, approximately, where people are living at an enhanced level of peace and cooperation. So I'm going to leave you all with that thought, because it's like, wow, this is really possible now. Not when not necessarily we have to wait to the 1,000 years of peace. Now we can do this. And so that's just a positive image, positive thought I want to leave you with. It is possible, and it is happening now. So peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Atakiyasin. And thank you for Doug, who is behind the show doing it. And thank you all for participating. And may you be inspired to know that it's already happening, and we can make it happen and spread that energy of peace and love. Now, we do have a World Peace Meditation, which is geared at that, and that is on Sundays at, there it goes. Thank you, Doug. 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we're pushing for, world peace. When people meditate together, you actually decrease the crime significantly, like 43%, or even up to 49% less violent crime when we are meditating in a daily way for peace. So it's real. Peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Atakiyasin. And I'm happy to answer questions if you want to write them down beforehand as well. Okay.